Good evening, everyone. My name is Mariam Irshad, and I'm speaking to you from Durham College here in Oshawa, Ontario. I will kick off this NEM session on lifelong learning and transitioning your education to industry by thanking our audience, guest speakers, and panelists for virtually joining us for this event. I also would like to take a moment to thank NEM Ontario and Ontario Society of Professional Engineers in working with us to organize this great event. Next slide, please. I will begin the event proceedings by presenting the Land Acknowledgement. Durham College is situated on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas and the territory that is covered by the Williams Treaties. We are thankful for the opportunity to teach and learn on the lands of the peoples of Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation. Next slide, please. The event is co-hosted by the School of Science and Engineering Technology at Durham College and by OSCET, the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technician and Technologists. We have planned an exciting agenda and gathered speakers with extensive experience in their respective fields to shed light on the session topic from various perspectives. Next slide, Marian, please. I'm privileged and honored to introduce our esteemed keynote speaker, Roger Francis. Roger has spent the past 25 years building talent pipelines. This includes 8 years as a search consultant for US electrical engineering companies in the high-tech sector, and the past 5 years at the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering at the University of Toronto, where he is currently the Executive Director, Engineering, Career, and Experiential Learning, Excel. Roger is a recipient of the 2013 Excellence in Innovation Award from University of Toronto for a program developed to transition students from school to careers. In 2017, he was a founding member and current board chair of Elm Tree, a registered not-for-profit focused on connecting hidden job market with hidden youth talent pools in underserviced communities. Roger has an undergraduate degree in philosophy from the University of Toronto and a graduate degree in leadership from the School of Business and Economics at the University of Guelph. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Roger Francis. Roger, with this, I hand it over to you for your speech, please.
Good evening, and thank you very much, Miriam, for the introduction. And to our hosts, the School of Science and Engineering Technology at Durham College, a sincere appreciation for the energy and work that it takes to pull such an event together. It is certainly a privilege to join this session inspired by National Engineering Month, a very, very exciting time of the year, particularly for those who work in engineering education. In 1906, while at the University of Cincinnati, an engineering faculty member by the name of Hermann Schneider initiated the first formal cooperative education experience. His thinking was that the traditional learning space or classroom didn't quite or not fully provide the educational context for technical students. Over 100 years later, we find co-op programs thriving across Canada and the United States. And in some sense, we can thank Professor Schneider for putting his students from the educational context, taking them from the classroom, and allowing them to have some industry experience during their undergraduate education. Now, another term for co-op is work-integrated learning, or under the broader umbrella that might be familiar to some, of experiential learning. It is this term that I find great inspiration for the learners of today. And in the field of engineering, we find these learners, quite frankly, all over the place. We find them in school as engineering interns or co-op students on work term. This learning spirit is certainly embodied in great examples of professional engineers in community and in engineering leaders of industry. The inspirational piece for me is that our learning context of today really embraces the notion of lifelong learning. Borrowing from my colleagues at the Troost Institute for Leadership Education in Engineering at U of T, engaging in lifelong learning allows for greater personal fulfillment and contributions to society. It also promotes a culture, and lifelong learning will catalyze the growth and potential of professional teams and students. Now, these particular bits of advice are great. It certainly is embodied in the leadership education. Now, there's other ways to engage in lifelong learning. Periodically, it might mean that we go back and take a university course or a college course. It could involve attending seminars, symposiums, workshops, and conferences delivered by industry leaders, and also getting involved in associations and supporting one's chosen career in industry sector. These are all great ways to invest in lifelong learning. However, they seem a bit skewed to those already in the working world. For students, there are numerous ways to begin your engagement with lifelong learning. Participation in clubs, sports teams, or groups of various types at your learning institution. Volunteer work to support causes you believe in and are passionate for. Undergraduate research, getting involved with innovative labs at school. And if you're interested in doing some work, maybe it's a summer job, I would advise even checking out the Federal Student Work Experience Program, or FSWEP. Typically, there are thousands of roles, summer jobs, that go unfilled each year across the country. There seems to be ample opportunities for young learners to get some experience. Now, our audience will hear from an impressive panel on the topic of lifelong learning and making that transition from learning to earning. So if any students on the call sat up and maybe moved to the edge of your seat, I'm with you there. I look forward to hearing from our panel. The catalyst for inspiration and the concept of lifelong learning. Now, of course, I've shared from my perspective the what and the how, but really the inspiration does come from the question of why. And this question is something that I invite each person working in engineering and technology to ask themselves. In an age of amazing technical developments and rapidly shifting landscapes, our societies look to engineers for creativity and leadership. The fields of engineering and technology are bursting with excitement and opportunity. It's an incredible world to be a part of, and those who are inspired to continue to learn really have a front row seat to flourishing careers. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that getting into engineering and technical programs is no easy task. After school and launching into your career comes only with effort, diligence, and dedication. Lifelong learning is an appreciation for how experiences will enrich your learning. I hope that all of us here will allow our learning to enrich our lives. Now I'm going to take pleasure in handing this back to Miriam Irshad. As I said, it is certainly a privilege to be a part of the session. And I know like the rest of our audience, are really looking forward to hearing from our panelists. Thanks, Miriam.
Thank you so much, Roger, for your inspirational talk that will spark deep conversations, how experiential learning encourages learners to discover by exploring and making them learners for life. Your talk has energized us for the fantastic presentations that our present panelists have prepared. With this, I request from Marianne if we can move to the next slide and we can begin the panelist presentations. And before I begin, a series of presentations by our expert panelists sharing insights and their professional perspective on the topic, I will share a few housekeeping tips. Please put your questions in the chat box to allow us to present them to the speakers in the Q&A session after the presentations. If a question is addressed to a specific speaker, please do state their name also. Thank you. With great pleasure, I introduce Tricia Tidoldi. Tricia brings over 20 years of experience in business development, HR, training, and recruitment to her role as manager, college and corporate partnerships for the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists, OICET. Within Tricia's role as at OICET, she manages college partnerships throughout Ontario's 24 colleges, involving working with college faculty to ensure engineering and applied science technology students are educated on OICET certification process along with industry expectations. The requirement of certification has grown substantially over the years, and Tricia prides herself in being an integral part of this process to educate students on OICET and how belonging to a professional association and ultimately becoming certified can help ease the transition from college into the industry. In conjunction with outreach to colleges, Tricia also supports and works with various newcomer settlement agencies and other community organizations whose clients have an engineering technology background. Tricia graduated from Humber College's Business Administration program with a specialization in HR management, along with Georgian College's Teaching and Training Adult Certificate Program. I will turn it over to Tricia. Thank you, Tricia.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the introduction, Miriam. It's my pleasure to be here this evening to provide my insight and professional perspective on what's happening within the industry as well as our association, OICET. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move forward into our next slide and talk about some general information about OICET. But first, let's see a great video. And in this video, I just want to highlight and let you know that there are a lot of our members that are in this video, along with faculty and our members who are actually working in the industry, as well as student members. So take a look. Our volume isn't working. Okay, everyone, I do apologize. The volume was not on that video. So maybe Marianne and you could make sure that the audio is working for the next videos. Are you guys going to give that a try again and see if you can, because you have to click and share the sound.
Why are you more qualified than other candidates?
Well, first, I'm OSET certified.
OSET certification. Tell me more.
Well, actually, we are...
What is OSET? We are the professionals who design, maintain, and repair the electronic equipment that makes our world so incredible. And so much more.
We are the experts who make advanced products that touch every aspect of your life.
We are the professionals who help your company save time and money with our experience and expertise.
We are the professionals that plan, design, and supervise the infrastructure that makes this province and economy successful.
We are the engineering technicians and technologists, the part of a skilled team that builds the community in which you live in.
We are professionals who are passionate about the environment by providing services including sampling, modeling, and assessments, all in an effort to protect this great province of ours.
When can you start?
Thank you.
Okay. So my apologies for that, everyone. So what we'll do here is we seem to be having a little bit of technical difficulties with the slide itself, but we can move forward. So let's talk a little bit about who OSET is. OSET is a professional association who certifies engineering technicians and technologists here in the province of Ontario. We have over 25,000 members, and we have 15 disciplines within engineering, technology, and applied science. Next slide, please. Now, so what do we do here in the province of Ontario? So obviously, as a certifying body, we hold the protected title rights to the certified engineering technologist and the certified technician designations. We also advocate on behalf of our members. So we actually have someone who works full-time within government relations. So any legislation pertaining to what technicians and technologists are doing here in the province of Ontario, we are out there advocating on your behalf. We are also advocating to industry, colleges, government, other associations, and the public. And we're also here to provide that public protection to our members as well as protecting the public in the province here. Next slide, please. Okay. So I apologize that you guys are, I can see squares over some of these slides here, and maybe you guys don't see it. Hopefully you don't. This road certification path here is what happens when you become a student member. So the great thing about our student membership is that it's a very streamlined process. Yay. And then what ends up happening is, as long as you are a full-time student, you are eligible to become a student member, whether you're in your first, second, or third year of your program. And then you will essentially gain access to all the same membership benefits that our certified members have, with, of course, the exception of not being able to carry the protected title behind your name until you have fulfilled the certification requirements. Now, for those on our event this evening that are in 2-year engineering or applied science technician programs, you would qualify for our CTech designation. And if you are completing a 3-year engineering or applied science technologist program, then you'd qualify for our CET certification. Now, because you're belonging to a professional association, you will be following and adhering to a code of ethics. So we do have a professional practice examination that needs to be completed, along with 2 years of relevant work experience within your related discipline. And then also, you do have to submit your official transcripts from your educational institution to verify that that academic component has been completed. Now, also, it's important for you to know that if you're in a 3-year program, you're also required to complete a technology report with. But in most 3-year programs, there is a technology report that's embedded into your curriculum, and you could certainly look at utilizing that report for what you need to submit to us at OSET. Next slide, please. Okay, well, at OSET, we have strategic mandates or strategic focuses that we look at. And I really wanted to highlight the three of them because I think it's really important that you know that as an association, we really do help the transition from your learning into earning, which I actually talk about a lot in my presentations because it really does help to increase your marketability and your earning potential. And OSET helps you with transitioning from your education at Durham College into industry, or any of the other colleges if we have anyone else online here from other colleges. We also have some wonderful chapters. So we have 27 chapters throughout the industry. And this is one of the membership benefits that I talk to students about a lot because it's really a great way to network with people that are in the industry. It helps to engage with our members, learn about what's happening within the industry. And they are very warm and welcoming. And I can honestly say, because I've been employed with OSET for about 14 years, that everyone at the chapter level really likes to get involved, and there's a lot of mentoring that happens. And so many students over the years have come back and have said how they found prospective job opportunities and made some great connections. So as student members, I would really encourage you to get involved with that component of your certification and your membership benefits. We also really pride ourselves within community, so we're engaging with organizations within the communities that enhance our members' careers. So we hear also that a lot of employers are valuing and preferring certification. So certification is continuing to grow here in the province of Ontario. So it's really important that you take a look at this certification because many employers are utilizing this as a professional benchmark for what they're looking for. And it really does help to increase your marketability and your earning potential. Next slide, please. Okay, now also at OSET, we are dedicated to lifelong learning. So obviously our certification shows a mark of professionalism that when you are certified, you have to complete several requirements, which we talked about in the Road to Certification path. We have continuous professional development. So through volunteer leadership opportunities, different committees at different levels, you're able to participate and gain that professional development. We also offer various courses that you'll be able to participate in as well. And then of course, the career enhancement certainly helps you as you're going throughout your career in developing yourself from a student member to a certified member as well. Next slide, please. Now, these are some great member experiences. These are testimonials from our members that have talked about how certification has helped them in their career. The first one here is from Anil, who's a certified engineering technologist. And he talks about how after joining OSET, he became involved in the Peel chapter in 2013, which allowed him to participate and work with other like-minded professionals to both contribute and enhance his knowledge. And he also goes on to say how through OSET, he had the opportunity to attend seminars in different engineering fields that showcased members' meaningful contributions to society, and how OSET offers many networking opportunities at the chapter level. So this is a great way for you to hear about from firsthand knowledge from our members and how certification has enhanced their career. Next slide, please. Now, this is a student member that's actually from Seneca College. His name is Collins. And he talks about how he spent several years looking for an organization that would help him to advance his understanding and connections within the engineering industry before he graduated. So he was very thrilled to discover that OSET offered a student membership and also all of the benefits that came along with becoming a student member. Next slide, please. Now, what's really important for you to know, and it's also a takeaway from really what speaks to what Roger was talking about originally, is that, getting involved, joining your professional association, taking advantage of all the networking and volunteering, as well as the learning outcomes and opportunities that are presented to you. Certification will help you in your education and your career. I can't speak to this enough. I meet so many different employers and they always are talking about how certification helps them to be able to have pre-vetted individuals that have that, they're following a code of ethics, that they verify what their education is as well as their work experience. So it's really important that you all know that. And then of course, OSET is dedicated to continuing to keep our members learning through mentoring opportunities, professional development, as well as leadership opportunities as well. So thank you very much. I believe that was the last slide, Miriam, and I look forward to all of your questions here at the question and answer period.
Thanks so very much, Tricia, for the insights into the value of certification, as few of our other panelists will also shed light on this topic. May I please have the next slide, Marianne? Thank you. I'm pleased to introduce Eric Nikiforuk. Eric serves as Mechatronics Engineering Technologist at Mavex Corporation. He's a graduate of the Electromechanical Engineering Technology program at Durham College. Ever since graduating in 2018, Eric has been working at Mavex in Ottawa, developing solutions for industrial sterilization control systems. Throughout his experience in the last 4 years, he has learned a lot in this field and how to apply what you know now to further your knowledge and skills. He hopes that sharing these with you can help you jump into career successfully. With this, Eric, I hand it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for attending and taking your time out of your night to come listen to all of us here. Thank you to the organizers and all the speakers alongside me here. I've been looking forward to this, and like others presenting here, I'm really hoping that what we share here today can help you with your next step forward in your career. Can you go to the next slide, please? Here we go, I have control now, I think. Perfect, here we go. As you know by now, I'm a graduate of Electromechanical Engineering Technology at Durham College and have been a mechatronics engineering technologist at Mavex ever since graduating 4 years ago. Oh, going too fast here, sorry guys. Back in college, I learned a lot of skills that I still use to this day. Let's say that each of us has this pocket dedicated to store our skills. Years ago at Durham College, I added electronics, physics, PLC programming, robotics, and everything else my program had to offer into this hypothetical pocket full of skills. I'd like to share with you the capstone project that my partner Tim and I had worked on back at Durham College. Now, on this slide, you can see some pictures of the HMI, human-machine interface. This is where the user would control the machine, place an order. Now, in the next slide here, we do have a video of it. Now, as you see, there's this little pallet that cycles in, and then the robot is simply drawing a couple cans of beer, some with a shot of Jaeger, some without, drawing the brewery label on it as well. Now, it seems easy, right? It's just a little drawing. If I remember correctly, we spent at least 100 hours on that on top of school classes. Now, at Mavex, we develop and maintain electron beam accelerator systems used for industrial irradiation of single-use medical devices. Sorry, I scrolled on the wrong. Yeah, for single-use medical devices. Phytosanitary treatment for produce, cross-linking of polymers, and many other uses in research cases. Now, our machines are installed globally. They consist of the accelerator, conveyor systems, and automation to go along with all that. All this uses leading edge technology to keep up with customer needs and to become more efficient with what we do. Now, here are some high-level pictures of the systems that I work on now. Unfortunately, there are confidentiality rules. So these are basically animated photos that are just pulled from our website. Now, my focus at MEVEX is process control for our conveyor systems, product tracking in our programmable logic controllers, simulation of the conveyor systems, leading team meetings and projects at this level of process control. Now, the topic of today, lifelong learning. In my view, no one should close any door to learning, innovating, and growing. In engineering fields, technology is always changing at an exponential rate. And you'll need to adapt and learn to keep up and innovate to excel and provide that leading edge technology. Being the leader in your field will require you to strive for the best results. No one person will have all the knowledge and skills to be able to do it all. When transitioning to industry, it will be important to keep open-minded, to try to see things outside your comfort zone. Expanding your reach to those around you and your team, whoever that is you will end up working with, will be crucial to your professional development. Remembering to think back to your college days will help give you that confidence in your work. Today, I'll expand on that pocket full of skills with examples from my experience here. On my first day at MEVEX, I was asked, would you like to go to Slovenia? Not being a geography student, I had to look up where Slovenia even was. It was this small country in Europe, shaped like a chicken. Now, am I ever looking forward to Zoom calls being the thing of the past, where my terrible jokes might get just a little laughter here and there? Anyways, 4 days later, I was on a plane to Europe, having never been outside of North America before, to go on a trip to learn about the system. Now, that was the first big confirmation, really, that the learning never stops. The scale of what I was working on there was far bigger than anything I had looked at before. The whole time, I was comparing what I saw to what I'd been used to in college, but everything seemed so different. And it was overwhelming, but it was also fun. Now, it's not always your professional focus that you learn about along the way. Through my experiences traveling to customer sites from Slovenia to Germany and Costa Rica and Australia and more, I've learned a lot about different cultures and had to get over barriers because of culture and language. Now here's a picture of the first car I ever crashed on that first trip to Europe. The lovely people I met from a house on the corner hardly spoke any English, nor did the police. The guy I hit was probably swearing at me, but how would I know? From this interaction and many others I've come across, you learn patience, how to communicate with those who can't quite understand you or you them, and add these to your pocket full of skills there. This goes to show that the building blocks don't just come from college. Your experiences in life will influence your experiences later on. College is simply one big event in your life that will influence your future decisions and career path. Now, my role at MEVEX has become bigger and bigger, working on bigger systems, moving from box conveyors to pallets, and starting up a new method of designing and developing our systems. As new technology comes out, we need to adapt, and the only way to adapt is for us to learn. I started using this new software we had purchased to make conveyor simulations. In this software, lots of scripts running in the background, making all what you see on screen here happen. We've incorporated this into our design process, as well as developing PLC code before we even have a working conveyor system. Now, how does this relate to school and transitioning out of school? I've reached into my pocket full of skills that I took away from college. From the bits of experience I had between CAD modeling, Python, and C++ programming, using that, my knowledge of our control systems, and the resources I had at hand, I managed to put something together and have been improving on it ever since. So add to that pocket full of skills, or more experience just from using this simulation as well. Now I'm leading programming of the process control PLCs for our next gen pallet systems, where I'm still reaching into that ever-growing pocket of skills to help me along the way. I even take my personal time to add to that pocket full of skills, help out with controls, automation questions at the Durham distillery, and learn new programming languages. This just adds to the pocket of skills, thinking of completely different types of solutions in a different industry. Now, to speak a bit about OSET here, from what experience I have. When I was in college, I learned about OSET, just like many of you probably are today, and I joined as an associate member. A year or two ago, I had canceled that because after discussions with coworkers, it wasn't quite useful for me at that time in the career path I was expecting. Now, for my employer, so far there has not necessarily been any sort of, necessity for it. Of course, as time has gone by, my anticipated career path has been changing. And I'm realizing that pursuing my certified engineering technologist designation can be useful in improving my skills and demonstrating my commitment to my work. I'm currently seeking reinstatement as an associate member now, so I can later achieve my CET designation and encourage those who are eligible to do this as well. This in itself can make great use of that pocket full of skills. Now, when you first start working in your field, you will likely be blown away, maybe even feel overwhelmed like I did. It is simple to say that eventually you will figure it out and all will be fine. What will happen is you will likely make some mistakes along the way, but that's okay. It's important to keep focused on that path you want to take and keep absorbing what information you get and use that as the building blocks for your future. Call this the Lego of your adult life, and sometimes it still hurts when you step on a piece. Keep in mind that college is never the whole picture. You will use what you have already learned as the Lego blocks for your career. Until I started prepping for this discussion, I never put too much thought into how much I reach into that pocket of skills to keep moving forward and gain more experience. This is something that will become a natural practice for you once you open that door. I hope that you always keep your own pocket ready to stuff more skills in for later use. And with that note, I'll hand this back to Miriam.
Thanks so much, Eric, for sharing with us and enlightening us with regard to your pocket full of skills. I do have a question before I move to the next panelist. It is on slide 20. What was the piece of equipment in the bottom right animated picture?
So that's the actual accelerator itself. That's what produces the irradiation, produces the electron beam.
Thanks so much, Eric. Marianne, can we go back to the slide where I can introduce Daniel, please? Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce our next panelist, Daniel Dos Santos. Daniel graduated with honors from Durham College Mechanical Engineering Non-Destructive Evaluation Program, NDE, in 2019. He has gained 18 years experience in the inspection industry, working in various countries and multiple sectors. He has mainly worked under procurement, quality assurance, control, and asset integrity management areas as resident inspector in refineries, petrochemicals, water and wastewater treatment plants, and offshore drilling rig platform projects. Daniel currently works for Jacobs, an engineering construction consultant company, holding the position of mechanical site inspector, mainly on water treatment and waste plants around GTA area. He is OSET certified technician, CTEC, and has API inspector certification and NDT inspector certification as well. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Daniel. And with this, Daniel, I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Hi, Mary. Just, I gotta change this. Can't see me on myself. Yeah, I can see you now. All right, guys, thanks everyone for having me tonight. I'm very glad for this invitation to pass on some experience I had as an international student. 5 years ago, I came to Canada and I didn't know what I was supposed to do in here to make my professional life fitable for this country, because I never been Canada before. So I didn't know the mindset, professional mindset and the culture and the workplace. And then I realized Durham College had this program, mechanical engineering technician and non-destructive evaluation, which could give me the full understanding and familiarity with the inspection industry over here. So one thing I can tell, it's throughout my career, education has been the most important factor to consider among others. And I realized that choose wisely your education surely will give you the tools for the success. Next slide, please. Yeah, Durham College graduate 2019. You can see some pictures from my professors, my coordinator, very passionate professors that I've learned a lot. I still talk to them when I need it. This program Durham College has, it's a well-designed program tailored for those who wants to get the full understanding of mechanical inspection industry. Yeah, they have this brilliant idea to combine the most relevant mechanical engineer courses and the inspection courses such as welding, NDT, and others that could give us the bigger picture, what we need to get the market with success. This market in here is very dynamic. So sometimes when you don't have the right skills for the opportunities, you lose it. And then you need to go back to school, do more training, spend more money to get updated. And then you can pursue different kinds of expertise. What I can tell, it's like the demand today might not be the demand tomorrow. And then you need to get ready to seize the opportunities. Some professionals are fine just doing only NDT or weld inspections. Some others just to be a mechanical technician or technologist. That's nothing wrong with this. But I can tell that many professionals change their mindset throughout their career. And some of the cases, it's not possible due to a lack of education and certification experience as well. So what I can see now, since I get here, is that some companies, they rather have a professional who can solve problems, daily based problems on his own, than professionals that is limited on their scope. For example, if you have various tickets, NDT, non-destructive testing tickets, plus welding, and also you have the mechanical engineering courses such hydraulics, fluid power, applied mechanics, electrical, all these mechanical engineer courses that you're gonna be much more useful for the employers, and you're gonna have more chances to find a job or a good job or excellent job. Next slide, please. Yeah. So certification and affiliations is very important on this area. I didn't know about OSET, and I just got my OSET this month. I'm very glad they accepted me. I can see how many doors this certification is already opening. Another affiliations such as CINDI, CGSB, CWB will help a lot in your career. And then I would say the combination of all of these certifications with your knowledge, with your program doing by Durham College. I don't know if we have another program by another college in here, Ontario, who can have this kind of combination. But I can tell if for those who's just getting into this market in industry, you're not gonna regret how much information and knowledge you can get from these kind of programs and can use in your career, particularly if you're an international student, which you gotta prove to Canadian companies you're able to do the job, you fit for the job. Next slide, please. Yeah, say when you are NDT or welding inspector, you normally get more familiarity on your examinations, expertise. You focus only on your examinations, testing procedures, and your performance. And also you have superficial knowledge about material process. And also you gotta have your ticket. You ticket dependent. You gotta go and do your examination, pay the all fees for your training, and then apply for your exam. And with this program, as mechanical engineer technician and NDT welding inspector, you have a large knowledge, understanding about the industry. Plus you can have a wide range of inspection jobs, which no need a ticket. As now I'm working as a site inspector in a big company, construction company, which they don't need any kind of ticket from me. They just need my knowledge on construction, mechanical engineering, and also quality control, quality assurance, which NDT and welding is part of it. So what I'm just trying to say, it's if you can get a big packet, if you can invest some money on some program that gives you the full understanding of the industry, and then you can choose the path you're gonna take after you have the full knowledge, will be much better than you just go and focus on one expertise and then stay there for years. And after a couple of years, you realize, oh, the market is changing, and then I have to change with the market, but I don't have the education, so I gotta start from zero. Next slide, please. So having said that, I have my timeline here in Canada. In 2018, 2019, I was still a student. And then this company, they gave me a chance, which is not easy, to be an inspection technician on lifting equipment like a hoist, cranes, forklifts, stands, all these lifting equipment. And after I graduate, they use me as a lift equipment inspector and DT inspector because they realized my program gave me this knowledge and training. And they say, okay, you have the knowledge, you have the training, so now you're gonna be NDT inspector as well. 2020, COVID came, and then people started to get laid off. My seniority didn't allow me to stay, so I lost my job. But I found another job, which was more like my expertise and Jacob's, as a construction site inspector. Which at the same time, I haven't got my tickets yet, but I have my experience and I have my training from my diploma, mechanical engineer diploma. So they accepted, and I started working cities and regions, water treatment plants, doing daily inspections as a quality assurance inspections, structural, even electrical inspections. I used to help those engineers to figure out design and things at the field. And from last year to this year, I just add another role as a commissioner lead, which again is another thing I've learned through my experience, and also I've learned from the college. So what I can tell you for those international students is, like, even if you in here without Canadian experience in mechanical inspection industry, some programs like this one will give you enough tools and ability to find a good job. That's what I'm saying. I'm very glad to choose the right education when I get here, and now I'm harvesting what I seed, what I planted. So that's it. I think I finished my slides.
Thanks so much for the insightful information that you have shared with audience and us. And next slide, please. I'm pleased to introduce our fourth panelist, John Podpalock. John went to school here at Durham College, graduating in 2010 from the Mechanical Engineering Technician program. He specialized in non-destructive testing program. Since then, John has become the owner and CEO of John Pod Inc., a NDE company local to Durham region. He hasn't just stopped his career growth there, though, but is also the team lead of the contracts coordinators at Ontario Power Generation, Darlington Nuclear. I will turn it over to John now, where he can give us some further details of his career, experience, and expertise in the industry. Over to you, John.
Thank you very much, Marian. Thank you for inviting me. It's a hard act to follow with all this vast knowledge that we've seen in this presentation so far, to be honest. So even Trish specifically, I'd like to thank you very much for even making me aware of how to get the OSET certification. That's excellent, as well as Eric. I love the travel experience you've been over, especially since I went overseas as well and worked for a significant amount of time. That was really cool to see someone else in the industry do that. And Daniel, very impressed with the certifications. And just to add to your point, never stop learning, never stop seeking different certifications. They will just lead you to more opportunities throughout your career. So one thing OPG has taught me specifically is if you can find a mentor at each job, doesn't matter the position you're in, you know, you could be starting out as a trainee, coming right out of college, you could be even doing a co-op semester, or you could be in supervision or management. if you have a mentor that can take you, that you can learn from, that can teach you during this process, it's always beneficial to your career, and you can just keep aspiring to learn and keep on going if you so choose. Could we hit the next slide, please, Mary? So again, just to reiterate what Marianne said, I have a full-time job at Ontario Power Generation. Currently, it's a contract one at Darlington Nuclear as the lead contract coordinator. So this team essentially performs oversight as well as is a helpful manner to bridge between the vendor and the client. So if the vendors such as ES Fox, Canadim, Black & Mac, BWXT, some of the other major key players in the refurbishment need help, need tooling, need support, don't understand some of the permitry or the processes to go through, we're the bridge that helps them along here. We're also there to ensure quality and safety is performed during the refurbishment and everyone goes home and a satisfactory as well as an excellent job has been made on the project. That's not the only thing I do. I do also currently run a small NDT inspection company that's called John Pod Inc. We specialize in conventional UT, MT, PT. So for those of you not familiar with those terms, that would be ultrasonic testing, magnetic particle testing, liquid penetrant testing, visual inspection, as well as helping it with QC. That could be anything from ITP writing to verification sign-off, and we sometimes also do phased array. Now, when my turn is over from speaking, I will also post an informational video from phased array in the chat, which was given to me by one of the companies that supply phased array, and in there performing is another small NDT company provider. Next slide, please. So my experience consists of pulp and paper, which was mostly in Canada, up in Northern Ontario, nuclear, which is in Canada. So I've been to the major three here in Ontario, which is Darlington Nuclear, Pickering, and Bruce Power. I did mining work in Australia, involved in the NDT industry, as well as oil and gas in Canada and Australia. So I've been out to Fort Mac as well. So if you can actually see in the slide, those are pictures of some of Suncor's site, actually. That is McKay River, if I remember correctly. And again, it's just a very generalistic picture of a tank farm while I was up in a man lift to do some tower inspection. Next slide, please. Also been a part of the pipeline industry. So again, I just want to touch on the never stop learning. And also, I believe Daniel touched on this. The industry is always changing. So to give you an example, pipeline is now moving away from magnetic particle and ultrasonic inspection when they're trying to find stress corrosion cracking. So they'll dig up the pipeline, they'll excavate, they'll go down, they'll have the technician in there, and they'll end up trying to see how much SCC is on the pipe. They're now developing a far faster process, which is way more accurate and takes less time, which is eddy current array. So again, this is a very new technology, but something that will be coming on the forefront here within the future. So if any of the students are listening, if you get the opportunity to learn this at any of the companies or take courses on it, I suggest it's going to become quite high demand and it will set you apart in the industry. I've had some aerospace experience as well in Canada, as well as fabrication shops in Canada, Australia, and Thailand, and some steel mills in Canada as well. One you might be familiar with if you're local to the area is Gradau. Next slide, please. And again, my inspection methods, magnetic particle testing, liquid penetrant, eddy current. So I did a lot of tubular inspection out on boilers and chillers out west. Again, just to go over some of the providers that John Pod Inc. provides to, if you're familiar with the area, would be Cameco. We do some inspections at down in Port Hope, as well as ESCO, their steel plant, Gradau in Whitby, and as well as we've done some on the military base in Kingston. Next slide, please. Yep, so again, experience in radiography as a CETO, as I mentioned, ultrasonic conventional. This is one thing that I wanted to touch on for any of the students looking to get into international work. So your visual inspection tickets can differ, as well as your NDT, from country to country. So in Canada, we have CWB. Over in the UK, and even sometimes used in Australia, there's C-SWIP. So again, NDT tickets that would be different would be AI NDT in Australia. There's JDNSI for Japan. So it's again, they're all under ISO 9712, and they allow you to bridge around and move around. You just have to inquire about reciprocity based on their website. So something to note, and feel free to ask me if you need any further information and have any ambitions to go outside of Canada and work. Quality control documentation, inspection, and overview, closeout of documentation for TSSA and OPG oversight of trades. So again, I spent a lot of time doing, my career went from NDT to QC within CanAdam, which is a bridge of ACON and SNC Lavalin when I was on the refurbishment project. So I spent 3 years as a supervisor at CanAdam, closing out documentation, making sure the reactor can turn on, because again, the paperwork is just as important as the steel. So that's a lot of things, what I came to realize, which a lot of individuals in construction also don't know, is the reactors do not turn on if the paperwork is not satisfied by engineering and all stakeholders. Next slide, please. So again, this just kind of touches briefly over certifications. You know, the top ones I think we're all familiar with. For NRCan, they give us the CGSB ones. Those are in Canada, so that it'd be ultrasonic, magnetic particle, liquid penetrant, and eddy current. Your CNSC grants you the CETO, which is Certified Exposure Device Operator, allowing you to carry around a nuclear source. CWB is the Canadian Welding Bureau, so that gives you your visual tickets. Again, visual inspection, very different than NDT. You're more based on code knowledge than anything. As touched on before, C-SWIP, that's your international one. They do NDT as well, but they're predominantly known for their visual tickets. That's where their bread and butter is, and that's where, in my experience, and I might be wrong, but most clients gravitate towards that. As stated before, AI NDT, that's the international one in Australia, as well as JSNDI is for Japan. So again, these tickets can all be, I didn't end up taking a whole bunch of exams for them over in Japan or Australia. I was able to receive reciprocity and actually transfer them over. So to touch on a little more of the workspace going on at OPG in Darlington. So the oversight's provided on the refurbishing units 1 and 3 currently right now. So each reactor has 960 feeders, 480 fuel channels, 406 instrumentation tubes. On the turbine side, which is the clean side as we like to refer it as, no radiation. We have 1 high pressure turbine. We have 3 low pressure turbines. There's many systems that are also being refurbished and taken out and rebuilt, such as the SG boilers, vac dry, and that's not where it all ends. So there's many things that our work group is performing oversight on, such as the SMR, the new build reactors, so small modular reactors being implemented. So there's lots of avenues, and there's lots of work on the horizon for anyone graduating. So something to think about. Nuclear is going to be on the forefront of the industry probably for the next 10 years in Ontario anyway. So NDT technicians specifically, you know, some of the bigger companies to get your name out to or to apply to would be Acuren, Team Industrial, BWXT, AIM, which is the one in-house at OPG. These are all good avenues to go. There's many sites you can see on Google, but again, never stop learning. I believe Daniel might have already touched on this, but there are 2 paths out of that course that we both took. You can either be an NDT technician and go after certifications and chase them, as I have, and you can see throughout my career, or you can go the mechanical engineering technician side of things, which you don't need as much certification for. It'll be more on measuring, tooling, fluid power, stuff like that. And that's where Trisha had said that the OSET certification comes in handy. And again, I guess more employers are looking for that in Ontario, as she stated. So that's excellent to hear, and a very good avenue to go. Other than that, I just want to reiterate, never stop learning, never never shut off your brain, try to keep taking courses, and again, learn as much as you can on each job. And once again, thank you for having me. I think that's the final slide, if I'm not mistaken.
John, thank you so much for taking us with you on a journey to different countries to understand about your experience. Now I will introduce our last and final and the fifth panelist, Brendan Johnston. He graduated in 2012 from Durham College's Mechanical Engineering Technology program. Following graduation, Brendan moved to Winnipeg after being recruited to work at Megalon Aerospace as a manufacturing engineering planner, a role he holds today. In the decade since graduation, Brendan has worked in various industries, including aerospace and agricultural equipment manufacturing. With this, I hand it over to Brendan.
Thank you, Miriam, and for the introduction. And thank you also to Katie Zaidman for putting my name forward to do this. I'm not the greatest public speaker, but so long as at least one person gets something out of either my presentation or one of the other presenters, then I'm happy to be involved and do that. Since I live out in Winnipeg, as Miriam said, it's tough for me to stay involved in the life and work of Durham College. So thankfully, now that we have Zoom, even though it's not the greatest thing to work with all the time, I can actually be involved in this today. So next slide, please. So this is a portion of a video that was filmed in my last year of college, which is about 10 years ago, almost right now. And so we might as well go ahead and watch this video, please.
One of the three main machines that we have in our work cell in the Integrated Manufacturing Center here are the Nakamura Tome lathe. It's one of the top-of-the-line model lathes. It has 2 spindles, 2 turrets, 8 axes in total. We have the capability of running live tooling in there as well, so if you want to machine something such as a hex shape or a slot on a part with a milling tool, you can actually do that in this machine as well. Very versatile, very high-end equipment, a lot of expertise to program it. That's what the students are learning about.
In the lab today, we're working on a pen set, which includes 3 parts, a base, a pen holder, and then the nameplate. With the group project, we split it up into 3 parts. So we had a couple people making a program for the base. I made a program for the EDM machine, and then 2 others made the program for the lathe to do the pen set. The program is awesome. I come from a little bit of a machining background, so I knew what I was getting into when I came into here. Plus, I'm going to be taking a degree program later on, so this is perfect. Gives me all hands-on experience that I need. So everything I put in now is going to help me in the future.
Thank you. So the beauty of Zoom is everybody's muted, so I won't hear any comments about how young I look there compared to now. We can go to the next slide, Marianne. The benefit to projects like that is I actually still have mine here. So I don't know if you can see it with the background on, but it's kind of handy to keep on my desk upstairs as a reminder of what we did back in those days. So as I say, I work at Magellan Aerospace. You can keep clicking to bring a few more lines in there, Marianne, twice more, I think. So we've got divisions all over the world in North America, Europe, and India, and our headquarters is located in Mississauga, which is not far from where all of you are. We have a global population of about 3,400 people, and there's about 600 at the plant here in Winnipeg, which is also Magellan's largest facility. Next slide, please. So along with those global business units, we kind of split all of them up into kind of what they do well, core competencies, if you will. And at Magellan, we split them into aero structures, aero engines, castings, specialty projects in space, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. And the one thing you'll notice here is that Winnipeg is listed in almost every category. So we're a very diversified business, which has been good because I've been able to work on many different projects across my time there. Next slide, please. So a little further detail on Magellan Winnipeg, and I won't read it all, but we've got some sheet metal work, composite work, The top picture on the right-hand side and the bottom picture are both for different variants of the F-35 fighter jet. And the middle one is the tail cone assembly for the Q400 aircraft, which was formerly Bombardier and now Hamilton Sundstrand. Next slide, please. We've also got some specialty projects here in Winnipeg, so particularly space. So the top picture is some satellites that we've done. I'm not sure if it's which launch it was, but we've had some launch in 2008, 2018, et cetera, and we've either manufactured certain components for them or large assemblies of them. We've got a propulsion group. So that's the middle photo is a Black Brant sounding rocket that is used by NASA and also some customers in Europe. That's my favorite program that I've got to work on. It's actually the 60th anniversary year this year that it's been manufactured at Magellan in Winnipeg. So that's been a lot of fun. And the bottom picture is of a wire strike protection system. It's installed on that helicopter in the bottom right corner. It's basically the horns you see on the top and the bottom of the cockpit of the aircraft. And the premise behind it is if a helicopter is to run into some hydro wires or any sort of communication wire, rather than being hung up and being a fatal accident, it will cut the wires and allow the helicopter to carry on through. So, next slide, please. So commitment to lifelong learning, which is essentially why we're here. How we use technology continues to change rapidly over time. In my job, it's best to find the most efficient and easy way to get the job done well. This involves researching and implementing new technology, as well as using existing resources to their fullest potential. And the next few slides will provide you some tips that you can apply when starting your new careers, or even if you start a new job and you already are in the working world. Next slide, please. So this is going to sound really cliche, but first impressions are important. Team members will be watching how you approach problems in the workplace. So it's important not to jump to conclusions and start quickly making changes just to seem like you're actually doing something. So anytime you start a new position, you should spend more time listening than talking. This will allow you to find out why things are the way they are, and then make an educated decision on if something should be changed or improved. There are reasons why things are the way they are. And in order for you to fully understand the situation, you need to understand how it came to be. And you may find the current situation is the best scenario possible for a variety of reasons. But also, and I hate hearing this line, it's the number one way to make me look closer at a problem, is do not accept, well, we've just always done it this way. That 100% will make me look closer. And again, we may not make any changes, but maybe it warrants another look. Next slide, please. So don't be afraid to collaborate. So you are just one member of the engineering team. And if I was in a classroom, I'd put somebody on the spot and say, name what those 5 members are. So scientist, engineer, technologist, technician, and tradesperson. So just because people are not performing the same job as you does not mean they don't have any good ideas to share. You will work with many people in your careers, particularly tradespeople with many years of experience. And don't be afraid to leverage their experience and work together on continuous improvement actions. And typically tradespeople will have ideas to make their jobs easier and faster. That's basically a win-win scenario because the company's going to win by getting work done faster and more efficiently, and the operator's going to win because his life is going to get easier. Next slide, please. So along that lifelong learning track, it's always important to see how others work. Facility tours are one example and are always a great idea. It doesn't matter if it's for an interview or for fun, you will always learn something from seeing how others work and could potentially apply new ideas to your workplace. Trade shows are another option. They're a great resource to see the newest and the fanciest technology out there. And you may not be able to implement that new technology right away in your workplace, but maybe you can make one small step towards it and then eventually implement it in the future. Next slide, please. So you should always have a future goal in mind. Think about where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, etc. What do you need to do to get there? And I'm going to emphasize that. What do you need to do? Always look for what training opportunities are available. Don't just wait for your employer to enroll you in something. And OSAT and CME are 2 good opportunities to look at for training things. And no, I'm not been paid by OSET to put that in there. Next slide, please. So about 5 years ago, I was actually in Toronto attending a trade show. I was sent by Magellan Winnipeg at the time. And I stopped in at Durham College to give a presentation to a group of third-year students. Perhaps some of them are on the call today. And after my presentation, we had a question and answer period, much like we're going to do today. And one student asked me the question, can you admit that you don't know something when you're interacting with somebody? And that question really struck me and has stayed with me ever since. My answer at the time then, and it still is now, is you're allowed to admit that you don't know the answer to something. However, it must always be followed up by saying, I will find out and get back to you, and you need to actually do it. This will save you from trying to guess and potentially being wrong, and both people are then going to learn from that research. And that's all I've got for today. So I will also mention that anything more on Magellan Aerospace, feel free to look on our website, and there are opportunities available for new grads there, so feel free to take a look. And that's all I've got for today.
Brandon, thank you so much for sharing these useful insights with us. I will open the floor for any questions that the audience may have. Please put it in the chat. At the same time, there is one question that Matthew had. Is there any certification process for engineers proper or just technicians? That was his question, if anyone would like to take that. It's open to any one of our panelists if you would like to give us any comments. I may move forward, and Matthew, I will share the information with Mariana from Ontario Society of Professional Engineers, and we will respond to you later. I do have a question from our panelists, because we may have around 5 or 10 minutes left for the session. Any other final thoughts that you would like to leave with us today? So if we can go in the same sequence that you have kindly given your presentations, with Tricia starting first, please.
Some final thoughts that I'd like to reiterate is that, you know, the speakers who all talked about OSET after me, I really had nothing to do with that. So they are right in saying that it's good that I'm hearing this firsthand from our members and how it is really important. So it's really good that the students know that, you know, this is something that is very beneficial. And it's great to see what it looks like once you've graduated. So I think all of the other panelists today really gave the students a glimpse into what to expect and how you can help, you know, that transition from your education into industry. So that's really important. So thank you very much for that.
May I request from Eric and then from Daniel to give their comments as well, please?
Yeah, sure. Just a couple small things, and I find it's always important to just embrace change. It is an never changing world. I've seen what can happen if you don't want change. It hinders your ability to advance in your technology that you use and stuff. And you always need to be willing to learn and research that new technology. And lastly, make sure that you always invest in yourself. Go for those certifications, go learn new things, go take new courses in something that you just really want to learn about. Any kind of skill can help broaden your the amount of skills, the amount of ideas you can have as you go through your career.
Yeah, for me, I would say my advice is to aim higher, you know, accept the challenge, be ambitious about your career, Always keep yourself updated, continuous learning, explore beyond your area of expertise, never feel comfortable enough that you stop learning, and get certified, get affiliated with organizations such as OSET, OSP, and that's it. That's your path.
May I request from John and then Brendan to share their thoughts as well, please?
Absolutely. So again, it's just reiterating what everyone has said here already, the other panelists. Never stop learning, never stop seeking certification, even if it's not within your career path that you see right in front of you, take it. Take the courses that are offered to you, take the experience, because today, just like my career evolved from NDT into quality control, into quality assurance, into construction oversight, you know, the next step for me, who knows, could be management, right? But that being said, it's all different. It's all different knowledge. Just because you don't use the NDC certifications in one job doesn't make them any less valuable, or you might have to go back to that career at some point. So again, never stop learning and try to find a mentor within each job. Thank you.
The only thing that I can think to add is that, so I don't live in Ontario, so I'm not an OSET member, although I did start as an associate member when I first graduated. So just to be aware that even if you move out of Ontario, there's other groups like OSET in every province of the country. So I am a member here in Manitoba, which is called CTAM. And so again, I just transferred over and then went through the same process in the exam here. So it's just something to keep in mind, no matter where your career may take you. So there's always a certification option.
Thank you so much for all the panelists. And now, with great honor and privilege, I introduce our esteemed speaker, Ranjit Patajaria, Dean of the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering Technology at Seneca College. Marianne, can you please go to the next slide? Further, thank you so much. So with over 20 years of experience in post-secondary education, Ranjan has provided strategic and operational leadership in several post-secondary settings in Canada and the Middle East. In response to industry and student needs, he has developed and launched innovative credentials, increased program enrollments, established centers of excellence, facilitated articulation agreements, and has been involved in a number of externally funded applied research initiatives. A passionate advocate for experiential learning, Ranjan conceptualized and led several multi-million-dollar capital projects, ensuring that learning environments emulate industry practices. Ranjan is a director on the Council of the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists, OSET, and is a member of the Program Advisory Committee in the Chang School of Continuing Education at Ryerson University. He holds a BSc from the University of Alberta and an MBA from Heriot-Watt University, in addition to several industry certifications. Ranjan has an industry background in analytical instrumentation acquired through various operational and supervisory roles in the energy industry. Please join me in welcoming Ranjan. With this, Ranjan, may I please hand it over to you for the closing remarks. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you for that introduction. It's been a fantastic session, and I really want to thank everyone for attending. It was quite a rich session, and although I have to say, one night when I heard that it was being hosted by Durham College, I wasn't sure they were going to, my link was going to work, because because I'm with Seneca College, but we're all great colleagues, and we all have all the colleges have the common goal of serving students and working with industry to make sure that their current and future needs are being met. So I would like to thank the panelists. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I really enjoyed the authenticity that was present from everybody. I was madly taking notes. There's so much good stuff there, and I'm just going to try to summarize what I heard, and I think what some of the common themes that came across from each of our panelists. So I mean, it started with Roger coming and talking about, and what I took from that was he mentioned that the change is increasing and change is not going to stop. And he mentioned, you know, to deal with change, you need to have creativity, leadership. In that, I would include curiosity. Maintain that professional, personal curiosity. It'll take you a long way in terms of where you want to go and with dealing with that change that is never going to really stop. Tricia did a great job giving us an overview of OSET, and yes, I am a director for OSET currently, so I'm also a very passionate advocate for them. And she talked about how to get involved. She mentioned involvement with chapters. Another common concept was continuous learning. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a moment, but becoming a member of OSET, you'll have to participate in continuous professional development. So your continuous learning is automatically built in. It allows you to also build a great network. So thank you for that. The other things, and I'm going to pick on Eric for a second. Eric talked about the pocket of skills. I thought that was a great terminology, Eric, in terms of building that skills and adding those skills and being able to pull them out of your pocket as you need to. So, and Eric talked about adaptation, how to be innovative. And he spent a bit of time talking about teamwork. I was really gratified about the global mindset that Eric specifically brought, because much like you, Eric, and much like another panelist, I've also worked overseas, and it totally adds to your another dimension to the way you approach your work of problem solving. I think that, you know, having that different approach, different perspectives only actually enhances your ability to solve problems. So I was really happy to see that. I was also happy to hear from Eric saying that college is the foundation. And I did not pay him to say that. So, but college is a great foundation. It gives you that base set of skills, both the technical skills, and a lot of the other panelists refer to the soft skill, which I'll talk about in a bit. I really like Daniel's comment about make sure you maintain your relationships with your professors after you leave, because they're always going to be there for you in terms of what you want to do. There's also that comment about pay attention to the work that you're doing, but keep an eye focused to the future and plan your strategies and what you want to do later on with that. And Daniel, I just want to thank you for your authenticity about, you know, we have been living through COVID now for the last, it's going to be 2 years in a couple of weeks. Hard to believe. And then, you know, there's been a lot of damage done from COVID professionally, and Daniel obviously a victim of that. But he talked about how, you know, he had the certification, he built his skills. I think he was able to pivot, and I think that demonstrates a lot of resilience. So in terms of, you know, moving forward, in terms of transitioning to work from school and moving forward, that resilience piece is going to be very, very important, because as much as we like to think we're going to get through the current situation, future situations will emerge. And I think that resilience is going to be really important. John talked a lot about mentorship. Grab a mentor. That is a fantastic point, John, in terms of grabbing a mentor, someone that you can trust, someone that's going to be able to guide you, someone that can be a sounding board for you. I think that's really, really important as well. So thank you for sharing that with us. And Brandon, all the way from Winnipeg, thank you for joining us. Once again with Brandon, he also talked about the soft skills piece, about making first impressions, about making sure that you don't think statically, always think dynamically, always looking to the future, which I think all the panelists also share in a bunch of different ways. He talked about collaboration, he talked about teamwork, talked about group thinking, and he talked, Brandon, the other thing that stuck out for me about the words that you gave, which stuck with me, was about having a proactive approach and having that internal drive to change, not be reactive, but be proactive. So I think for the folks that attended, I think a lot of great information came out. I really am, you know, really inspired by what was provided, and I hope that the audience did get a lot of good feedback out of that. So thank you again to our panelists for really being very generous with your knowledge and your skills and your experiences. So Marianne, can I go to the next slide, please? Thank you. And of course, these things don't happen in a vacuum. So I would like to thank the folks that took the time out to attend. And I do realize I'm the one standing between you and the session ending, but we do need to thank everyone for attending. I know that you joined me in enjoying, it was a very enjoyable session. I would like to thank OSPE, the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers, for organizing the National Engineering Month event this year. And then I did want to actually personally thank each of the NEM partners by name, but then when I found out there's 32 of them, I quickly realized, being very adaptable, that they're all displayed on the side, but I do want to thank them all for sponsoring something that is very important. So this is National Engineering Month, so there are a number of events. If you go to nemontario.ca, all the events that are still available are there. The complete listing is there, and I hope you get the opportunity to participate in one or more of those events. So, and I will hopefully see some of you, if not all of you, in some of those other events that are coming up. With that, if there's no questions, I want to say good evening, thank you, and I'll turn it back over to you, Miriam.
I'm so grateful, Ranjit, for you patiently taking all the notes and summarizing it so well for our audience, what each speaker said. And once again, thanks to Roger, Ranjan, Tricia, Eric, Daniel, John, and Brendan for making it such an insightful evening for everyone. So good night, everyone. Stay healthy, and best wishes from Durham College here in Oshawa. Thank you.